Driven, Remax Hallmark's real estate show, with your hosts, Johnder, Perez, and Dan Salhany.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Driven Real Estate Show by Remax Hallmark. Today, we have a very special episode because we are interviewing two fantastic guests. I am your host, Johnder Perez with
Dan Salhany. Welcome everybody.
Welcome everybody. And we're going to introduce you to our two fantastic guests. Our first guest has a Bachelor of Education. She has an educational background teaching kindergarten before she got into real estate. Her family was involved in investing in real estate. And so you could pretty much say that real estate is in her background. She's a consistent 100% club and platinum club producer. Let's welcome Shervin Zeinalian. Welcome, Shervin.
Welcome, Shervin.
And our second guest, she started working in real estate with her brother. She started working on real estate tutorials, but she has an educational background in film and television and doing prosthetics as well as business administration. She started very young in the real estate industry before meeting with Shervin and then joining together as a team. Let's welcome, and she's also a consistent 100% club and consistent platinum club producer. Let's welcome Michelle Refani to the show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having us on the show.
It's our pleasure. So Michelle, Shervin, are you both ready?
Yes.
And of course, Dan's always ready. So let's just jump right into it. Michelle, Shervin, you're both working together as a team. And that's why this makes today's show very unique. We usually interview special guests, but today there's going to be both of you sharing your experiences. So we're going to be taking the journey about how you two met prior to joining your team. What were your struggles? What were you doing to develop your business? And then how your partnership came about. But let's start with this question. What's the secret to the success of your real estate team and for both of you working with each other? Shervin, Michelle, who would like to start?
Sure. I think Shervin can go first, but she needs to unmute. Or I'm not sure if Johnder, you have to unmute her.
Okay, let me unmute you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Go ahead, Shervin.
Okay. You can hear me now?
We can hear you, yes.
Perfect. Michelle and I, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity, and it's such a great pleasure to be part of this interview. Michelle and I started in early 2015 working together from individual deals and transactions, and we developed our relationship from there. If that answered the question.
Of course. So you started in 2015,
yes.
And that's about, 5-6 years now. What's the secret to you, both of you, successfully working together for this long? And then, of course, we're going to dig deeper into this. So what would you say is that secret?
I would say the first thing that crosses my mind is transparency. The open communication has been the key, and respecting our individual differences, knowing about what our capabilities are and what is it that we are good at, and then elaborating on each area has been the major key for being able to go this long.
Absolutely.
Michelle, you want to add something to it maybe?
Absolutely. That's very interesting. You say both transparency and differences. We're going to ask Michelle about the second part, which is differences. But it's very interesting for those of you watching this and listening. It's interesting that a team works together and they're successful not only because of the transparency between each other, but in spite of the differences, they've been able to hold their business for this long, 5-6 years now. So Michelle, why don't you talk about how the differences between you and Shervin make your team successful?
Yes, that's definitely our differences, are definitely have worked to our advantage, I would say. And it's really great because, Shervin has her strengths and I have mine, and we kind of use that and we merge that together in order to have our team move forward through difficult times and, with our clients, and we acknowledge and respect that. And I think that really has worked so far in our benefit versus working, against us.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So when and what brought you, we know when, the when is back in 2015, but what brought you to realize that you wanted to create a partnership with one another? I'll let you maybe both respond to that. Michelle?
Sure. I think there's so much behind that. We started working gradually together, and for about 2.5 years, we worked case by case, and we started prospecting together, and we eventually end up merging together more and more. And I think that really taking our time with everything and really giving it a try was definitely an advantage. I would say towards towards our goals pretty much, I would say. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if Shervin has anything to add to that.
I
Well,
believe
Shervin, why don't you describe how you actually ended up coming together? Because you both, so Shervin, you started real estate in 2009. Michelle, you started in 2008, but it wasn't until 2015 that you actually ended up getting together. So Shervin, why don't you share the story of, how is it that you ended up meeting with Michelle, and how did you start to get to work with each other?
how we met was through open house and office events. I joined Remax in 2013, towards the end of 2013. But throughout that time, Michelle and I met each other through Remax events a few times, and we had very brief, short conversations. Our offices are back to back along the hallway in Bayview Village office. And we happened to run an open house together, and I believe we were both at the stage that we were ready to move to the next stage. We were both ready. If you asked me about 6 months prior to that, if you wanted to get into partnership because of my previous experiences, I would definitely say no. But Michelle had shown a certain level of interest that I probably had. We were both ready to jump to the next step, and that was something that we both felt at the same time. And then it was throughout the time that we worked together over cases, as she mentioned, that we realized, okay, we're working in our own way, but we are moving towards the same goal. And that was pretty much the major key to our success that has been remaining until today. She does whatever she can do in her own special way, and so do I, but we both work towards the same goal. So I think that was when we were ready to move on to the next level that we probably could have not achieved if we continued working individually.
So I think it's very interesting. This interview is actually really key. And as managers of the brokerage, both Johnder and I and the rest of the management team get asked the question very often, I'm kind of running by myself. I'm doing it on my own. I'd love to partner up with someone or, join up with someone, but I'm finding it really difficult. And, I'm scared to jump in and so forth. So I really appreciate the courting process or the dating process, let's call it, that you guys went through for quite a period of time while still keeping your individual identities within your own businesses. I like that you worked on particular projects together and, invited each other to participate and so forth with one another. And I think that that's a really awesome way of testing the waters to see. I mean, it's been 5 years now that you started, and that actually goes beyond the norm with respect to the success rate with partnerships. So good on you for taking those necessary steps and taking those risks, but also taking your time. So question for you. So you decided to partner up. What steps did you take to establish the parameters of that partnership? Did you focus a lot on systematizing together, or did you each bring in your own systems into the partnership and then just kind of meld them together? Or did you wash everything away and start from scratch?
We rounded up our own individual method, and then we brought in our personal system into place. I think it gradually developed in a way that works for both of us. And it took a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of flexibility, a lot of discussions, a lot of disappointments and success. So it's been a combination of it all. But if you were asking us whether we've done anything in particular within a framework that we can share, no, it's been a trial and error. And Michelle, if you want to add to that.
Absolutely, yeah, it's been a trial and error. I mean, we both had our database to begin with, and then gradually we had even more to add to that. And then as we were both kind of new to Remax, we were using all the tools offered through our Remax team, and we built it together pretty much.
So I love this next question, and and I'm going to ask Michelle to answer it first. So when you're looking at your business and the tasks involved in its ongoing success, would you say that you both contribute to all facets of the business equally, or do you possess different skill sets that are brought to the table that essentially, like Shervin said earlier, round each other out? So this was an interesting when we talked about this yesterday.
Yes, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question again, because I didn't get the first part.
Of course, absolutely. When you're looking at your business and what it takes to make it successful and so forth, yeah, would you say that you both have those same strengths that contribute to the business, or do you bring different skill sets in?
Definitely different skill sets. As I mentioned earlier, Shervin has strengths and they're so different from mine. And that's what makes the team really great. And we really, use our strengths towards the required skills for the part of the job that needs to be done. If you want, I can give some examples. So Shervin takes care of a lot of our posts and social media, and I take care of a lot of back end of our team, such as putting projects for pre-constructions together, and such as handling a lot of our accountings and our advertisements. So we all have our strengths pretty much that we use those, we acknowledge those. And it took us a while to acknowledge that exactly and put them in place, to be honest. And as Shervin mentioned, it's all trial and error pretty much. But we definitely have our different skill sets. And I think it's really important to merge them together for your advantage and have your goals set up in a way and see what each team member can offer in order to head towards the same goals. And that, to us, what really made us stick together, because if everybody's doing their own thing and there's a lack of communication, it could cause a lot of problems down the road.
So here's an interesting thing. Usually partnerships are a bit challenging when it comes to that, when it comes to balancing out the work. And when we were talking about it yesterday, you both seem to have a very good harmony as far as how you get along with each other. So when we look back at it, transparency, differences, and at the same time you have a good harmony. So I guess maybe Shervin can answer to this. How do you decide what's the fair balance of who does what? And you both seem to have this dynamic that it's not about, hey, I did this or I did this, you should do this, but it's more so about, you sort of have that feel about, this is our skill set here, this is your skill set, and together we make this work out. How does that come about? Is that a natural thing? Did that come out because of the systems you created? Or is it just a way of you two just meant to be working with each other?
One thing that we both came to realization very soon after the very first day we worked together is our differences. One of us is really good with people, the other one is really good at finalizing the tasks. One of us might be a better leader, the other one is a good closer. One of us is better to reach out to more people, the other one is better to handle other things. So when you divide, just like any other partnership, when you don't want to put your foot on the other, step on each other's foot, life gets into balance. And that is something, when you mention harmony, a lot of people who work with us have noticed that our clients have many times made that comment that we notice you're on the same page. We might not organize that officially. It's just that we respect our abilities and we trust each other. That trust has been built based on Michelle trusting me with having access to such and such, and I trust her with many other things, you know. So that's way you're not trying to compete with each other, because competing brings you to the point of, oh, I did this more, you did that more. So we are working alongside each other and we're working towards the same goal. We're not checking up on each other all the time. It's just more of a working, as I said, alongside each other and respecting. Like, I'm 10 years older than her sometimes. She respects that as well. So that's
fine, but yes.
I think that there's definitely, definitely a compliment. And from the outside looking in, you know, Johnder knows you better than I do. I mean, I see you as a consumer would see you, right? Because I've met you a few times, but I don't see you day to day and so forth. But there's an impression that the two of you leave behind that I notice when I've seen you at conferences and when I see you online. I see you with your marketing, I see you with your social media, and there's a huge consistency there. I even saw it yesterday when we did, because when we do the show, we always do a short dry run, and both Michelle and Shervin showed up ready to go, you know, as if they were actually filming yesterday. And I see that as well in all of your marketing and advertising. And I think we had a statement, or we made a statement. Do you guys recall what it was yesterday? I think it was stand out.
Stand out.
It was stand out, and that's the thing that I think that you guys have created this persona and this representation of yourselves, you know, in the eyes of the consumers, that there's a lot of unity going on and there's a lot of consistency, although what you've just explained to us is we're totally different in so many respects. So I think that that's such a great, valuable share for everybody here that's thinking, you know, if I'm thinking about partnering up or doing some work with another agent, that I have to be so aligned with them with similarities. And in actuality, you know, I look at our team, it's just like our team that runs RE/MAX Hallmark. We're all very different, and everybody brings a different something to so good on you for recognizing that and being able to work together for a common goal and respecting each other and each other's strengths. Johnder, go ahead.
So when it comes to, again, creating this, the brand image, I mean, when we talk about the phrase standing out, both of you have that level of professionalism with your branding, and your marketing is very elaborate. So when later on, when we ask everybody how they can connect with you, you can introduce them to the Instagram that you do, to your website and all that sort of thing. But let's talk a little bit about how you work as far as your community is concerned. So you're both very active roles in your community, and I'd like for both of you to kind of elaborate the roles that you play, not only within the cultural community, but also within the professional organization that you've created within your own community. Why don't you sort of let's explore that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role within your community, what you've done as far as establishing real estate as a profession, like professional organization within the same community. And then let's talk about maybe how much business do you get from your community versus in general. Shervin, why don't you start with your role with the organization that you started?
I have the pleasure of representing the Association of Realtors. PICRA stands for Professional Iranian Canadian Realtor Association. From day one that I got my real estate license, I was involved. I was part of a small part of that association that turned to be a bigger form of it recently in the past few years. I learned a lot through my connections that I've built, a lot of masters of the real estate. Some of them are currently in RE/MAX, part of RE/MAX Hallmark, from Steve Tabrizi, Corey Gorgani, Mr. Jalili, many to name. I've learned a lot from them, and it's my passion, and it's been great to be part of that association. I've built amazing network of connections through being part of that volunteering activity. I've had the pleasure of Michelle's trusting me and joining this association as a volunteer. She used to participate in the events and seminars, but now she's part of it as well. And I'm extremely passionate. Well, obviously it took a lot from Michelle too to bear with me taking a lot of our business time for Pikra, but it's been great to be part of that. And I think I answered the question because I'm so passionate, I can go on.
No, you've been right bang on. And Michelle, you know.
Shervin definitely is the one that loves to volunteer her time. And she puts a lot of effort into that, and not just with Pikra. I would say Pikra is definitely just one of them, but she loves giving back to the community, and I really appreciate that about her, because that is so different than my background. I've never done any volunteer work pretty much all my life, I have to admit, but I'm all about giving back to the community, whether it's through our office like Sick Kids Hospital. I'm very passionate about giving back to the children and elderly. So I absolutely love different organizations and just giving back as much as possible. And that's definitely something that I like to do. But in general, a lot of my clients, some are Iranian, some are not. If you want, I can touch on that, Johnder. I would say 50% of my clients would be from my community, and the other 50% are non-Iranian, and my clients from here with all different cultures. I would say we're blessed to be living in a country that there is so many different cultures, and we get the opportunity to work with them. And I'm not sure if Shervin wants to add to that.
Well, actually, if I could just interject to that, and I just wanted to rewind a little bit to, and I'm going to go back a bit to when you started together. There were some tasks that you both were doing, and I don't know who took the lead on this, but you know, the basic fundamentals of what a realtor should be doing on a regular basis, you started doing together.
Right.
And can you give us a little bit of an elaboration, Shervin, on what that, you know, what those tasks were, because I know it'll resonate with some people that are here.
It was not like one morning we decided to meet over a list of tasks. We were doing our own schedule, and Michelle was doing her own thing, and I was doing my own schedule based on what I used to. We started putting some times together, spending some times together, doing prospecting. We started a farm. I never had a farm before until I started working with Michelle. We did door knocking, we did cold calling, we straight jumped into getting into Tirgan Festival sponsorship, because when we were at Tirgan, it was something that we had to work together to put ourselves in the community in a different way. It was not like a usual concert, or it was at the same time of giving back to your community, it was also promoting yourself too. So step by step, we just showed extreme consistency. I'm sure a lot of people who want to think or have been thinking about working with somebody, just like we all had, Michelle and I had people joining our team for a short period of times. The reason that people don't remain in a team, or they fall apart within a year or something, is lack of consistency. We might not have a perfect system in place, but we showed extreme consistency. And again, it was a trust that I appreciate from Michelle, because a lot of times I was the older one. I was suggesting, she would not say no. She was willing to take the risk, and she was willing to try. And that flexibility does not let you break. That makes you bend. And that bending means extreme potential for growth and for learning and for developing. We were at the point within a year or so that we were just moving faster than if we were moving alone. So just like she said, 2.5 years after we were continuing this and showed persistency, we were able to decide to be at the level of equal 50-50 partnership. And that happened in 2018.
So you were primarily residential realtors, and then something happened. And through our discussions yesterday, Michelle, maybe you could respond to this. You've expanded your your portfolio and your comforts, and so maybe you could share with us, when your vision came about, when you realized that there were no limitations to the different things you could practice in.
That's the beauty of real estate. As we say, the sky's the limit, or as they say now, the sky is not even the limit anymore. And yeah, that's how, we started with residential, and just working together gave us the advantage to grow more. And we grew into a lot of investment properties, and we met a lot of investors that we were dealing with. And that opened the door for us into commercial real estate as well. And we may have some clients that are investors, and depending on the budget and what it is that they're looking for, we come up with investment opportunities for them, whether it's residential or commercial. So we end up getting a few commercial listings, from plazas to land for development, and to storefronts in front of our Queen office. We had 2 storefronts there with rental apartments on top, so we end up selling both of those. So it really opened the opportunity for us to work like we know ourselves as investment specialists. And of course, that goes under the umbrella of residential and commercial for us. And that's definitely one of the privileges of working with a team, and really with somebody who can motivate you and push you forward into growing together, pretty much.
But this is great, because you made an effort in learning about this and exploring beyond residential real estate. So how did you come upon doing that? How did you, let's put it this way, how did you learn, or what was the journey through that discovery process so that you actually figured it out? And then now we see you doing a lot of different transactions, whether it's reconstruction or commercial, in addition to your residential. How did that journey happen?
I would say pretty much we met a lot of investors. Shervin is amazing at setting up meetings. So she set up a lot of meetings with different investors that we meet. And we also started selling together pre-construction. And I never sold pre-construction before meeting Shervin. And she had some experience with selling pre-construction. So that opened the door for me in working with her. And, it kind of, the sky's the limit. So we end up meeting a lot of builders and developers. And then they were looking for land in order to build. And I think gradually and naturally, just being your best and I'm a big believer that if you make the right decisions and you do the right thing and you're just present, I think is very important. If you're there in real estate and you're present, and thanks to Dan for saying that we look professional. So being professional and just being present at different meetings and meeting new people and leaving the door open for all kinds of different opportunities. I think that was the key for me, and that was a turning point for me, pretty much.
Well,
Just to add to that question, I want to elaborate on it in a way that we changed the way we were prospecting in residential. Right. We pretty much switched our focus. Not that we stopped it, but we transformed our way of prospecting. We were door knocking less often. We were driving to the land and sites more often. We were cold calling less often to condo owners, and we were cold calling and warm calling to our contacts, including our developers from different cultures. We stopped actually working on our farm. If you were asking us today, where is your farming area? We do not have a farming area, but we do have experts knowledge of the property type That could be in Aurora, that could be in Beaches, it could be in Oshawa. So we pretty much transformed that. We changed our prospecting and our building our contacts and moved on from there, residential to commercial, or probably investment.
We do have a question. Do you feel the same level of satisfaction with your commercial real estate transactions as opposed to residential? Which one do you like better, or are they equal?
Michelle is so cute because she separates. At the end of each year, she separates how much money we made out of residential, how much out of commercial. 2 years ago, we were at 30-70. 70% was residential.
Oh, right there, yes.
All of the office. So we were at 30-70, and then we were at 40-80, and then last year I believe we were at 50-50 or 60-40 the other way around, Michelle.
Almost. We were 52% residential, 48% commercial last year.
She's looking at it right on the board. So inside.
Yes, I have it right here.
Which one is more satisfying to you? If you were to say whether it's doing a commercial deal or doing a residential deal, which one is more satisfying? Maybe Shervin and then Michelle can.
Commercial is extremely challenging, I would say, and it's longer to satisfy financially. Residential, the way I enjoy is to give service to my existing client. I don't go after new clients for residential mainly. If there is referral, by all means, with my all heart, just because I love what I do. But the commercial is I just like the process. I enjoy the process very much, right. And the money too.
That's a good point. Michelle, what about you?
It's a tough call. I mean, to me, I would probably say the same thing as Shervin. It's interesting because I'm thinking about it as it's asked. I never really thought about which one is more satisfying. I'm definitely passionate about commercial because I love the numbers, and with my business background, I just think I find it very interesting. And but at the same time, I love helping people. So that's where the satisfaction comes in for me. And I'm passionate about real estate and helping my clientele and guiding them the right way. So I think that's where the satisfaction comes in for me. But of course, commercial deals are, for our team has been really beneficial financial wise, I would say.
Right.
Well, interesting that you made a decision to switch, right? And that's the thing about this. You said this earlier. The beauty of this business is that it allows you to be so versatile with what you can sell. You just have to take the time to learn about it and to understand it, so you can share and present properly and so forth. But all the resources are there as long as you're open to learning. So as we get closer to the end of our presentation here, our interview, can you tell us what would be some good advice? And I'm going to go back and forth here. I'll go to Shervin first. What would your advice be to a realtor, just in general, right? And then to a realtors or realtors that may be contemplating working with another individual? So maybe those two questions.
To individuals and teams and anybody who holds a real estate license, I would suggest not to sell yourself cheap or based on the standards that the society set for you or the cultural community set for you. I grew that, I learned that through experience. Do not discount this business. Going cheap is a standard set within a couple of communities that we work with. I extremely suggest my colleagues not to do that. The other thing is that never stop learning. Read good material, watch good movies, just watch documentaries and work on yourself. Go within and trust your intuition. And that is one of the major point that I think it's been always helping Michelle and I, that we never stop learning. And that's about it.
Very good advice, Michelle.
Yes. To realtors, I would say focus on what works for you in the industry. So a lot of times I find that a lot of maybe even us, we used to, maybe, I don't know, but just try to be an original in what it is that works for you and what works with your personality. So if you enjoy door knocking, or if you enjoy cold calling, or if you enjoy making videos, right? You don't have to do it all, right? Just because it's out there. Like if you're not good at making certain, challenge, don't, I don't want to say, because it could be misrepresented by don't step out of your comfort zone. That's not what I'm trying to say, because I'm all about that. But at the same time, I think what I'm trying to say is stick to what really works for you and being original in what it is that you're trying to promote versus just copying other people, right? Because I think people can really feel that, and that really stands out in your marketing, in your advertising, right? Don't copy other flyers just because somebody else is doing it. So as Dan and Johnder said, just stand out.
Oh my God, that's that's too funny.
Kind of wraps it up there.
What a brilliant way to come full.
I want to add something to this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It is really a benefit to be part of a great team. Michelle and I are blessed to be part of Remax Hallmark team, and Johnder himself, Dan, Steve Tabrizi, and the rest of the management team, and the colleagues who've been well experienced in the business, from our neighboring rooms in the office to all the way across Remax Hallmark. We are extremely happy to be part of the supportive team that we have currently. At 11 o'clock at night, I pick up the phone and Johnder still answers. And so for anything and everything, it makes a big difference. And I believe that in the eye of consumer, that makes a big difference too. You cannot compromise that.
Absolutely. It's very interesting. And but such a brilliant way to come full circle about standing out, knowing your value. Don't sell yourself short, as Shervin said. Michelle, as far as putting out the professional image and putting that presentable package together, as far as what you have to offer, as far as your services, and providing the best value to your client. So this is very brilliant. Thank you so much, Shervin and Michelle, for sharing us the journey of both of you starting together, the team, the struggles, the successes, and giving us this very important message, especially right now in such a timely manner with the challenges that are going on right now. This is such a refreshing way to look at real estate, to realize that we can explore beyond the comfort zone and look at other opportunities. You both did that. You journeyed into something beyond just residential. You did commercial, and you realized your value along the way, and most importantly, how you stand out and how you're not just within the crowd. You're standing out above all of your competitors. So thank you so much for that. Before we wrap up with the show, why don't you share with us how anybody watching us right now live, or when this goes on to video on YouTube, and when this goes into podcasts, you'll both be even more superstars than you are now. But why don't you give us how anybody listening to this or watching this can connect with you through your social media, to your website, phone or email, just so they can send you referrals, or even just to say hi, or ask you a question. How can they connect with you and your team?
It's a pleasure for us to get connected, and we're always welcoming with open hearts all our colleagues and contacts across the world. Real estate ownership is the title of our Instagram page, and we're pretty much out there on Facebook, our individual names, on Twitter. So we're there, and if, I will be sharing this video as well. And yeah, so you want our phone numbers?
I guess we'll add it to our show notes, but
Yes.
what's your website?
Perfect. Real estate ownership.
Real estate ownership.
realestateownership.ca.
There you go. Real estate ownership.
Yes, so people can feel free to contact us for all questions or referrals.
So I think the interesting opportunity here, and I'm listening in on this, and I'm listening in on the versatility. And I know we talked about multifamily, we talked about leasing, we talked about commercial real estate, we talked about residential real estate, and you seem to have your hands in a whole bunch of different pots, which is amazing. So you're allowing your business to be versatile. And I think that's great for the people that have come on to this call and those that will listen to it down the road, because there are a lot of opportunities here, even within our own brokerage. For those of you that are not comfortable with certain aspects, but you might run into clients that say, hey, I'm looking for this or looking for that. Feel free to reach out to Michelle and Shervin and work together on these projects, or refer them those people. So, it's a home run for everybody at the end of the day. And anyways, I'll let Johnder finish up, but on my behalf, I'd love to thank, first of all, everybody for showing up and listening in on this interview, and especially Shervin and Michelle for your time.
Thank you.
Johnder?
Thank you
so much. So once again, thank you very much, Shervin and Michelle. And it's our pleasure to have this momentous occasion, being interviewing two such wonderful Hallmarkers on the show. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. And for anybody watching this or listening to this, you'll be able to connect with Shervin and Michelle, and we will include their contact information and how to reach out to them in the show notes. Thank you so much, ladies, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you the very best and much more continued success in your partnership and in your team and in your business together.
And to everybody that's on this call, get ready, because the market's coming back. So prep yourselves.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you
for the
for
opportunity.
listening in and joining in on the
Thank you for being with
Thanks
us.
for everyone joining. Take care.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Thanks.